Today I will show you that using PDB to debug your Python code is not as scary as it may seem. And for larger projects, it is often the speediest option for debugging your Python code. There are three ways to enter a debugging session with PDB. First, you can pass in -m space PDB option whenever you're executing your Python script from the command line, and it will start the debugger at the very first line of your script. Another way to enter PDB is by writing import PDB pdb.setTrace before the line that you want to break on. And then you can run your Python script without any extra arguments. And the third option that only works for Python 3.7 and higher is to write breakpoint before the place that you want to debug as a function call, and it is basically a shortcut for import PDB pdb.setTrace. So options 2 and 3 are pretty much the same. It is just a little less typing when you use breakpoint instead of the other two lines. And as with the number 2, you can run your script without any extra arguments. Once you're inside the PDB session, that's when things actually get scary. You're presented with a prompt that says PDB and nothing else. Usually at this point I would just type exit or quit and keep wasting my time in VSCode. So therefore typing exit or quit is how you get out of the PDB debugging session. But hopefully you came here to learn. And if you ever forget what you learned, just type help and it will display the list of all possible commands you can execute. I'm only going to cover a few of these commands to get you started, but feel free to explore after you're done watching this video. If you ever need to get more info about any of these commands, you can just type help followed by the command name and PDB will display what it does. Now let's explore the actual debugging part of PDB. I have this little script that has a function sumAll defined. It accepts any number of arguments, sums them up and returns the result. And at the bottom of the script we call this function with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as arguments. Let's set the breakpoint right before the for loop and run the script. Once inside PDB, we can type list and see the source code around our breakpoint, so we don't have to go back between the editor and the terminal. Note that the arrow indicates the next line that will be executed. Once we saw what's around, if we ever needed to see the values of our variables, we can just use the regular print function and see its value. We could also use PDB's p or pp commands. pp stands for pretty print and prints things like dictionaries in more human-readable format. For example, in this second script, I'm loading the JSON file that's not formatted very well. If you just try to print it, it is almost impossible to figure out its structure. But if I use pp, now we get it displayed in a very nice and readable format. Typing next or n will run the program until the next line is reached. If that means running another function, it will complete that function before stopping at the next line. If you wanted to see what's going on inside that other function though, then you want to step into it by typing step or s for short. And if you looked around and didn't find anything useful, you can type return to continue execution until the function returns. If you have several breakpoints set, we can type continue or c to continue the program until the next breakpoint. Let's set a breakpoint if the value of I in our second function's for loop is 500. We run the script again, stop at the first endpoint, type C to continue, and if we type I or print I, we should get the value of 500. If you type C again and press enter, then the program just continues to run until it ends, since there are no more breakpoints. And lastly, you can type where to see the current call stack. This may help you figure out the execution flow until the breakpoint, which is especially useful on bigger projects where you may not know everything about how the code gets executed. These commands should suffice in about 90% of your debugging. But if you want to learn how to use VS Code and its dev containers to debug your Python code, then click on the next video.